Sometimes people born into privilege and visibility still find ways to derail their own paths, despite access, opportunity, and famous last names. Hollywood history is filled with examples of celebrity children who seem to have every door open. To them, only to see their careers unravel through controversy, addiction, crime, or self-destructive choices. From near-fatal overdoses to public meltdowns and criminal convictions, these stories often reveal how fame and legacy can become burdens rather than advantages. Chet Hanks, the son of Tom Hanks, attempted to build a career through small acting roles and a foray into rap music, but his artistic efforts were overshadowed by controversy. In 2015, he posted a video using the N-word on Instagram and defended it as part of hip-hop culture before deleting it amid backlash. Later, his exaggerated Jamaican patois videos went viral for all the wrong reasons, drawing widespread ridicule. His White Boy Summer campaign in 2021 sparked further criticism when the Gothic-style merchandise drew comparisons to white nationalist imagery, and the phrase was later adopted by extremist groups. Combined with domestic abuse allegations and erratic public behavior, his career became defined more by internet notoriety than entertainment success. Cameron Douglas, son of Michael Douglas and grandson of Kirk Douglas, appeared alongside his father and grandfather in It Runs in the Family and worked as a DJ, but addiction overtook his life early. What began as teenage marijuana use escalated to heroin and cocaine addiction. He was arrested in 2009 for drug trafficking and ultimately spent nearly 8 years in federal prison, including time in solitary confinement. His memoir Long Way Home detailed the squandered opportunities and the heavy cost of addiction, emerging years later with a drastically altered life trajectory. J.C. Chan, son of Jackie Chan, pursued music and acting in Asia, even appearing alongside his father in 1911. But in 2014, he was arrested in Beijing for marijuana possession, admitting to years of drug use. The timing was particularly damaging because Jackie Chan had served as China's anti-drug ambassador. JC's arrest led to prison time and the loss of major endorsement deals, effectively halting his mainstream career momentum. Christian Brando, son of Marlon Brando, had a troubled upbringing marked by family instability and substance abuse. In 1990, he shot and killed his half-sister's boyfriend during a confrontation at his father's home. He pleaded guilty to voluntary manslaughter and served prison time. After his release, continued legal troubles and addiction struggles kept him in obscurity until his death in 2008. Indio Downey, son of Robert Downey Jr., faced his own addiction battle when he was arrested in 2014 for cocaine possession at age 20. He entered a diversion program, completed treatment, and later celebrated sobriety milestones while focusing on music. Although he avoided the long-term devastation seen in other cases, the arrest became a defining public moment early in his adult life. Tatum O'Neal became the youngest person ever to win an Academy Award for her role in Paper Moon, opposite her father Ryan O'Neal. Despite early success in films like The Bad News Bears, addiction took hold at a young age. In 2020, she suffered a near-fatal overdose that left her in a 6-week coma and resulted in aphasia. Her relationship with her father remained strained until his death, adding emotional complexity to an already turbulent life. Weston Cage, son of Nicolas Cage, attempted careers in music and acting, but became better known for legal troubles, including domestic violence charges, DUI arrests, and a 2024 incident involving an alleged assault on his mother during a mental health crisis. Rather than prison, he entered a diversion program, but the repeated incidents buried any entertainment ambitions. Redmond O'Neal, son of Ryan O'Neal and Farrah Fawcett, struggled with addiction and mental illness for years, facing repeated arrests. In 2018, he was charged in a violent crime spree in Los Angeles involving robbery and stabbings. Diagnosed with bipolar disorder and schizophrenia, his life became defined by incarceration and treatment rather than career development. Griffin O'Neal's acting prospects ended after a 1986 boating accident that killed Francis Ford Coppola's son. He faced manslaughter charges and later multiple DUIs and domestic incidents. His personal and legal troubles overshadowed any early film roles. Haley Hasselhoff, daughter of David Hasselhoff, pursued modeling and acting, but was arrested. In 2017 for DUI after being found passed out behind the wheel. The incident echoed her father's own struggles with alcohol and led to probation and mandatory programs. Charlie Sheen, son of Martin Sheen, reached the pinnacle of television success before public meltdowns, substance abuse issues, and a highly publicized firing from 2.5 Men in 2011 derailed his career. Though he had long-standing success, his decline became one of Hollywood's most infamous spirals. Christina Crawford, daughter of Joan Crawford, published Mommy Dearest in Amrudamwain Wareen, 1978, alleging severe abuse. While the memoir became a bestseller, backlash from family members and industry peers effectively ended her acting career. Courtney Wagner, daughter of Robert Wagner and Natalie Wood, faced addiction and suicide attempts, along with a 2012 arrest, involving drugs after a domestic dispute. Personal trauma and public scrutiny defined much of her narrative. Tallulah Willis, daughter of Bruce Willis and Demi Moore, has openly discussed her battles with addiction, anorexia, and mental health. Diagnoses? Though she has built advocacy and business ventures, her struggles significantly impacted any potential acting career. Henry Lee Hopper, son of Dennis Hopper, had early promise with a lead role in Restless, but saw his career stall after civil allegations of misconduct, which were settled without criminal charges. Tori Spelling, daughter of television mogul Aaron Spelling, found fame on Beverly Hills, 90210, but later became known for financial troubles, tax debt, and highly publicized personal drama that overshadowed her early success. Montana Fishburne, daughter of Lawrence Fishburne, entered the adult film industry at 18, stating it was a calculated decision. Subsequent arrests and legal troubles compounded family tensions and public scrutiny. Sage Stallone, son of Sylvester Stallone, struggled to establish a major acting career and died in 2012 of heart disease at age 36. Early media speculation about drugs was later disproven, but the rumors lingered. Max Landis, son of director John Landis, saw rapid success as a screenwriter with Chronicle and other projects before multiple women accused him of abuse and misconduct. He admitted to some emotional abuse while disputing other claims, but industry support evaporated. Uday Chopra, son of Indian filmmaker Yash Chopra, debuted with high-profile opportunities in Bollywood. Despite appearing in successful ensemble films, his attempts to lead projects were poorly received, and he eventually pivoted behind the scenes. Together, these stories illustrate a recurring pattern. Nepotism can open doors, but it cannot guarantee resilience, discipline, or public goodwill. Fame inherited is not the same as fame earned, and in many cases, the pressure of legacy amplifies personal vulnerabilities. While some individuals find redemption or second acts, others remain cautionary tales about how privilege without stability can collapse under its own weight. What makes these stories so compelling is not simply the element of scandal, but the deeper question they raise about privilege, pressure, and identity. Being born into Hollywood royalty often means growing up under a microscope. From childhood, these individuals are photographed, analyzed, compared to their famous parents, and judged long before they have had a chance to define themselves. While the public tends to assume that wealth and connections guarantee stability, the reality can be far more complicated. Access to opportunity does not automatically translate into emotional resilience, self-discipline, or clarity of purpose. For many celebrity children, the shadow of a legendary parent becomes both a launching pad and a weight. Expectations are enormous. Audiences and executives alike look for the same charisma, talent, or magnetism that made the parent iconic. When that spark is not immediately visible, criticism can be swift and unforgiving. In some cases, the pressure to live up to a household name leads to rebellion. In others, it leads to insecurity and self-doubt. Substance abuse, which appears repeatedly in these narratives, often becomes a coping mechanism rather than merely reckless indulgence. Addiction threads through many of these lives with striking consistency. Cameron Douglas's spiral into heroin and meth trafficking, Redmond O'Neill's repeated arrests tied to drug possession and violent episodes, and Indio Downey's early cocaine arrest all point to the same vulnerability. easy access combined. With emotional turbulence can accelerate destructive patterns. Even in cases where recovery follows, the public record rarely forgets the lowest moment. Mugshots, court dates, and tabloid headlines tend to eclipse long-term healing efforts in the cultural memory. Mental health struggles also play a significant role. Tallulah Willis has spoken openly about anorexia, addiction, and borderline personality disorder, reframing her struggles as part of a broader conversation about body image and online bullying. Weston Cage's legal issues have been linked to reported mental health breakdowns, culminating in violent incidents that overshadowed any creative ambitions. Redmond O'Neill's diagnoses of bipolar disorder and schizophrenia further complicate the narrative, reminding observers that untreated or poorly managed mental illness can derail lives regardless of background. In some cases, the derailment comes not from addiction or mental health crises, but from decisions that spark cultural backlash. Chet Hanks's controversies were less about criminal charges and more about public perception. His use of racial slurs, exaggerated patois, and provocative branding campaigns positioned him as a lightning rod for criticism. The internet age amplifies such missteps instantly, where earlier generations might have stumbled quietly. Today's celebrity offspring often see their errors circulate globally within minutes. Social media does not allow room for subtlety or gradual course correction. Other stories revolve around tragedy rather than scandal. Sage Stallone's sudden death at 36, ruled a heart attack due to atherosclerosis, became clouded by initial drug speculation that persisted despite official findings. Griffin O'Neill's boating accident that resulted in the death of Francis Ford Coppola's son permanently altered his trajectory before it had truly begun. In these instances, one catastrophic event overshadowed any chance at sustained career growth. Financial mismanagement forms another recurring theme. Tori Spelling's mounting debts and tax issues revealed how quickly inherited wealth can dissipate without careful stewardship. Despite being the daughter of one of television's most powerful producers, she faced lawsuits, unpaid bills, and public scrutiny over her lifestyle choices. The assumption that generational wealth ensures lifelong comfort often ignores the reality that careers can stall while expenses remain high. Then there are cases where controversy stems from public accusations of misconduct. Max Landis experienced meteoric success as a screenwriter before multiple women accused him of emotional and sexual abuse. Though he acknowledged some wrongdoing while disputing other claims, the industry response was decisive. Projects were cancelled, representation was dropped, and his rapid ascent halted. In an era increasingly intolerant of abusive behavior, reputational damage can be career-ending regardless of prior achievements. Some individuals attempt to step outside traditional Hollywood pathways, but still find themselves defined by family. Associations. Montana Fishburne's decision to enter the adult film industry was framed by her as intentional and business-minded, yet it generated intense backlash and strained family relationships. The choice may have been autonomous, but the public narrative centered on her father's fame rather than her own reasoning. Uday Chopra's experience highlights a different dimension. Nepotism can secure a debut, but sustained success requires audience acceptance. Despite prominent launch vehicles and appearances in successful franchises, attempts to establish himself as a solo leading man faltered. Eventually, he transitioned behind the camera into production and business ventures. His story underscores that opportunity does not guarantee longevity. What unites these narratives is not simply downfall, but the tension between inherited status and personal agency. Some of these individuals actively sabotaged their opportunities through reckless choices. Others were overtaken by addiction or mental health crises. A few were caught in tragic circumstances beyond clear intent. In every case, however, the public lens magnified the outcome. There is also a broader cultural fascination with the idea of fallen royalty. Audiences are drawn to the contrast between privilege and collapse. The story of someone who had it all and lost it resonates because it challenges assumptions about success being permanent or guaranteed. Yet that fascination can obscure the human cost. Behind each headline is a person navigating complex family dynamics, often raised in environments where boundaries, privacy and normalcy were scarce. It is important to note that not all celebrity children follow these paths. Many build stable careers, maintain privacy, or choose lives outside entertainment entirely. The visibility of derailment cases does not mean failure is inevitable. Rather, scandal tends to dominate media coverage. More than quiet competence. For every cautionary tale, there are quieter examples of measured success or deliberate withdrawal from fame. Still, the recurring patterns suggest structural challenges unique to growing up in the entertainment spotlight. Access to wealth can mean early exposure to adult environments. Fame can blur discipline. Connections can cushion early mistakes, delaying accountability until consequences become severe. When correction finally arrives, through arrest, lawsuit, or public backlash, it can be dramatic. In recent years, there has been a noticeable shift toward transparency. Individuals like Tallulah Willis and Indio Downey have spoken publicly about recovery and second chances. Their willingness to discuss therapy, sobriety, and vulnerability reflects a generational change in how mental health is approached. Rather than hiding struggles, some are choosing to frame them as part of growth. Whether that leads to sustained career revival varies, but it signals a cultural evolution. Ultimately, these stories reveal that fame is not insulation against self-destruction. Legacy can open doors, but it cannot force wise decisions. Opportunity can create a platform, but it cannot substitute for discipline or stability. In some cases, the very advantages meant to smooth the path may remove the urgency that drives resilience. When consequences finally arrive, they can be harsher precisely because the fall is from such visible heights. The narrative of Hollywood's troubled offspring persists because it combines glamour with vulnerability, power with fragility. It is a reminder that success is not inherited in full, only access is. The rest depends on choices, health, support systems, and sometimes sheer luck. While some of these individuals may yet rewrite their stories, others remain examples of how quickly momentum can vanish, even when the world once assumed it was guaranteed. Another critical factor that often goes unspoken in these narratives is the psychological complexity of identity formation under constant comparison. When a parent is an Oscar winner, a box office titan, or a cultural icon, the child's sense of self can become tangled with public expectation. Every audition, every performance, every interview is filtered through the question, are they as good as their parent? That comparison can quietly erode confidence. Even moderate success may feel like failure when measured against legendary standards. In many cases, rebellion becomes a form of self-definition. Choosing controversial paths, rejecting traditional career routes, or publicly clashing with family expectations can serve as a way to carve out individuality. However, rebellion, in the public eye, rarely unfolds gently. Mistakes that might be private for others become viral headlines. A DUI, a heated argument, a social media rant, these incidents can permanently brand someone when their surname already attracts attention. There is also the issue of insulation. Children of immense wealth and influence often grow up shielded from ordinary consequences. Managers, lawyers, and publicists can smooth over early missteps. While this protection may come from love, it can unintentionally delay accountability. When real consequences finally surface, criminal charges, civil lawsuits, industry blacklisting, the impact can be more jarring because earlier course corrections never fully occurred. Family dynamics further complicate the picture. In some of these stories, strained parental relationships, divorce, custody battles, or exposure to substance abuse during childhood created unstable foundations. Growing up around addiction can normalize destructive behavior. Growing up amid tabloid wars can distort perceptions of privacy and trust. When a child's formative years are shaped by public scandal, it can influence how they respond to pressure later in life. The entertainment industry itself can also be unforgiving. Hollywood often celebrates rapid ascent, but offers little patience for faltering. Studios are risk-averse, brands are protective, and public opinion can shift overnight. For someone already viewed skeptically due to nepotism, a single scandal can close doors permanently. Unlike unknown actors who might quietly rebuild elsewhere, Celebrity offspring often struggle to escape their reputations because search engines and media archives preserve every controversy indefinitely. Yet it is equally important to recognize the capacity for reinvention. Hollywood history includes examples of dramatic comebacks, personal growth, and second acts. Recovery from addiction, renewed focus on craft, or pivoting into behind-the-scenes roles can gradually reshape narratives. Redemption stories resonate just as strongly as downfall stories when they are authentic and sustained. In the end, the idea that these individuals had everything oversimplifies reality. They had access, visibility, and connections, but they also inherited scrutiny, expectation, and sometimes generational trauma. The intersection of privilege and pressure creates a unique environment where both success and failure are amplified. These stories endure because they humanize fame. They remind audiences that wealth does not eliminate vulnerability, that legacy does not ensure wisdom, and that opportunity alone cannot replace emotional stability. Behind every famous last name is a person navigating identity, choice, and consequence in a spotlight that rarely dims.